But what happened is the Senate watered down all of his, like I used to hear people saying, there's now no tax on tips. Not true. Now there's no tax on overtime. Not true. Now there's no tax on Social Security. Not true. All three are false because the Senate, not due to Trump, but because the Senate watered it down. What the Senate did is said only some of your tips are now not taxable, and you only get it as a deduction when you file your returns. So the ordinary worker is going to be expecting to see on their paycheck more income because they think tips are no longer taxed for those that have tips included in their income, in their paycheck. Same with those who receive overtime. Except what happens after Trump has been promising this to the world when next month and the month after and all of next year they go and they don't see any change in their paychecks.
To explain that to the lay person who, it might be a little complicated. You make, I don't know, it's too much, like $5,000 a month. And if you make $1,000 on tips, you make $6,000 a month when they take deductions at source from your employer because, I guess you're doing you're not doing quarterly installments.
It's separate tax. It's a withholding tax. It's never been properly explained. A whole tax protesters could go on to explain to you for about 10 hours. They're the only ones that actually understand our tax laws, ironically enough. But that's another story for another day.
Bottom line is the deductions are going to be based on $6,000 a year salary. At the end of the year, you're going to file how much you got in taxes, and you're going to get a credit or a reimbursement for whatever you overpaid. That's how it's going to work?
Yeah, correct. But only a portion. So only some of so for example, you have to owe income tax to get it. A lot of working class people don't owe income tax. They pay other taxes, payroll taxes, sales taxes, et cetera. They're going to get no benefit. About half of the working class will get no benefit from this. The other half will only get part of their tips, the part of the tax on tips reduced, because they also cap the amount of income you make for it. They cap how much tips income you can reduce. They did the same on overtime. They did the same on Social Security. So there has been a reduction of taxes on tips, a reduction of taxes on overtime, a reduction of taxes on Social Security, but not its abolition, as a lot of people are out there, Donald Trump Jr. and others, seem to believe this happened. It didn't happen. They watered down the law in the Senate because unless you're a big lobbyist, there's no special lobbyist for waitresses. There's no special lobbyist for construction overtime workers. There's no special lobbyist for working class seniors living off of Social Security. So the Senate doesn't give a rat's rear end about them. So what they did is they go in down and just to save little bits of money, screw those people over and fail to give President Trump his full promise. Mm-hmm. So it's good that there's at least some tax good treatment there. And I particularly like the increase in the standard deduction. I've been arguing for a long time that people should campaign. If you're not going to abolish the income tax, at least abolish it for all working and middle class families and small businesses in America. And how you do that? If you're a certain kind of small business or small farmer, you can be exempt. All small farms are a small business. You can be, by certain designations of gross revenue, et cetera, be exempt from it. But the other is you just increase the standard deduction. You increase the standard deduction to $100,000 for a family of four. $50,000, $75,000 for a couple, $50,000 for a single person. What does that make? It means all working and middle class people no longer are subject to the American income tax. Big win, is my take. And then you can still use the earned income tax credit as a credit against the excessive payroll taxes they have to pay, in my opinion. So but I'm glad they increased that standard deduction. That is really beneficial, contrary to what you're going to hear, that the biggest net income percentage-wise, now in gross money terms, the rich always benefit from any tax cut because the rich pay the overwhelming part of American taxes. Not big corporations, but wealthy people that make their money off of their own labor. Those are the ones that, like, wealthy investors don't pay as much. The people that make the most are your NBA basketball players, right? Your doctor, your really good small businessman. You like your plumber that makes $250,000 a year. That your high end, top of the notch, best in the world kind of plumber. I've worked for those kind of people before. Those are the ones that get hammered.